The room erupts in a deafening roar of splintering wood and searing heat as a massive inferno consumes everything in sight. This is the day the school was reduced to nothing but ash and smoldering ruins. He flees to the art room, fully prepared to accept his grim fate in the one place he truly loves. He wants his final moments to be spent surrounded by his art, embracing the end with open arms. He naively assumes this will be the final page of his life story. He thinks it's all over, but fate clearly has a twisted sense of humor and a very different plan for him. He realizes with absolute certainty, this place is definitely not home anymore. A full week has vanished since he stepped into the canvas he painted. He can't help but wonder if the kids actually made it out of that fire alive. A sudden, comical impact shatters the silence. The stoic protagonist is caught completely off guard by a bouncing surprise. He never expected to be trapped in such a bizarre, squeaky reality. Time in this place is completely broken and totally inconsistent. He has lost all track of time, drifting through this painted void with no end in sight. Slowly but surely, he starts to piece together the strange rules of this painted world. He barefoot wanderer strides through the forest, trailed by a parade of mystical beasts. He discovers the first rule of this weird, painted existence. With a flick of his brush, he taps into forbidden power. Crimson ink swirls and reality bends as his art breathes life onto the page. One decisive tap on the canvas is all it takes to make the impossible happen. He loses himself in the trance, painting the perfect red while the world literally rolls away at his feet. If he draws salt, pots, or flour, they manifest into physical reality instantly. He's finally free from the soul-crushing burden of grocery shopping. Truly, he's living the dream. But even with this god-tier ability, he quickly discovers a glaring, annoying limitation. The easel crashes to the floor as he freezes in pure, unadulterated shock. What did he just see? Anything living he tries to draw remains nothing more than a cold, lifeless corpse. Honestly, he's relieved. If he could create actual people, his quiet, potato-loving lifestyle would become a total nightmare. He uncovers the second rule of his painted world. He can interact with the outside world through a frame hanging on a tree. He even ventured outside once, and the truth he found was absolutely staggering. Tension hits the ceiling as he watches from the shadows, barely daring to breathe. One wrong move and he's toast. He discovers that over 30 years have passed since the school fire. 31 years, to be exact. The world outside has changed so much he barely recognizes it. Enemies scream and unleash their power, desperate to drive him out of their sight. They want him erased from existence like he's a bad typo in a history book. A massive surge of blue energy erupts as he strikes back against the fire-breathing monstrosity. The battlefield is turning into a total mess. He holds his breath in the shadows, his eyes burning with intense, unspoken turmoil. One slip-up and his secret is gone. He lacks the guts to face a world crawling with monsters. He's a portrait, and he's staying in his frame. Thank you very much. He learns the third rule of his existence. The forest has evolved into its own self-sustaining ecosystem. It's a true, living, breathing forest. To his surprise, every creature in the painting is surprisingly friendly toward him. A mysterious avian messenger streaks across the sky. The silent observer takes flight to deliver a critical report. A bird chirps a melody that echoes through the air. Is it loyalty? He doesn't know, but he tells them to eat up anyway. Since they were born from his own artwork, maybe they just have a soft spot for their creator. And then the fourth rule of the world reveals itself. A mangdung fruit appears, a small, tangy snack that's apparently vital for elixir refining. He really wishes these things would give him a heads-up before popping out of thin air. A mysterious system code flashes across his vision. He recalls that people on Earth now call these monsters hunters. The world is in chaos, and he's just trying to understand the weird pop-up messages blocking his view. It feels like one of those comfy, low-stakes slice-of-life anime, if you ignore the impending doom. He ponders the elixir refining method. He isn't sure if he'll ever use it, but hey, why not make some medicine? For an unemployed shut-in, This feels like unlocking a secret DLC in a video game. He couldn't have asked for a more peaceful or happy life in this tiny corner of reality. Lunch today is stir-fried honey sweet potatoes. A legendary artifact glimmers with divine power. The stage is set for a massive game-changer. He continues cooking with ingredients that are magically stocked in his cottage. A treasure trove of fresh ingredients sparkles, just waiting for the master chef to get to work. But for now, he's perfectly content just enjoying his 3-hour dining life. A sharp, metallic crunch echoes through the room. Suddenly, he hears a strange, unsettling noise coming from the entrance. An eerie silence falls as the golden mirror reveals a chilling scene. Something sinister is lurking just beyond the glass. He discovers the final rule of the painting. Amidst the dusty ruins of a forgotten room, a single portrait glows with a haunting presence. The past refuses to stay buried. The realization hits hard. Gio has become the painting itself. A haunting portrait remains as the lone survivor in the debris. The past stares back, frozen in a frame of chilling silence. A heavy silence hangs in the air as he stares down, his expression clouded by deep, brooding melancholy. What secrets are he hiding? A cold, piercing gaze locks onto the target. The time for mercy has officially expired. An overwhelming, sinister power surges forth, shattering reality itself. Darkness consumes everything in its path. A massive surge of dark energy pushes his limits to the breaking point. The shadows swallow him whole as he unleashes raw power. The title reveals the truth: Gio's Portrait. He's linked to one of South Korea's top 3 guilds, Collector J. Access to this vault is restricted to only 300 licensed curators. A mysterious figure strides through the sterile hallway, carrying a heavy secret in that case. The mission begins now. A quiet, tense atmosphere fills the hall. Rumors circulate that a ghost is haunting the building. The tension is palpable as they cross paths in the hallway. A cold, silent confrontation is brewing between these two. They discuss the 17 complaints filed about the basement gallery. 17 in just 2 weeks. The guild leader, by Sabiol, collects anything he deems art. Even if it's a sentient monster, he doesn't care at all. Most of the ghost incidents were eventually traced back to monsters. Ghost incidents aren't exactly rare, so why are the curators so terrified this time? They managed to keep the rumors contained, keeping the incidents small and quiet. But there's no guarantee they can keep this specific secret under wraps much longer. This is clearly a massive headache. He can already smell the unpaid overtime coming his way. A soothing warmth radiates as firm hands cradle the steaming cup, offering a brief moment of calm amidst the madness. Yu Seong-gun, A-class hunter and gardener of the snowfield, is asked what he wants to do next. Everyone acknowledges that he's the only one reliable enough for this mess. They suggest he take over as the administrative manager, but he politely declines. That's way too much paperwork for him. He was a research team leader at the association, which explains why he's so good at this. He remembers exactly how much the others glared at him when he finally quit that place. He prefers to stay out of the spotlight, a real shame, given how talented he is. They decide to prepare countermeasures after reporting to the guild leader, hoping to keep the gallery's secrets safe. Starting next week, all staff will undergo mandatory, enhanced safety training. The file records the first sighting. A 188 centimeters man in a black cape, pale and handsome, appearing at 4:32 a.m. sharp. Apparently, the ghost is handsome, at least according to the staff member with very high standards. The ghost is impossible to make eye contact with, makes zero noise, and only communicates through its voice. The reports are consistent. The monster isn't even trying to hide its presence. The details are getting weirder by the minute. It's all very, very strange. It has appeared dozens of times, yet not a single person has been hurt. Every other monster from the dungeons has been hostile, with absolutely no exceptions. If a friendly monster actually existed, it would be front-page news across the entire globe. If the public didn't find out, the association would have locked it away as a lab rat months ago. With eyes blazing, He slams the evidence down and demands an explanation. There's no escaping the truth now. When first encountered, the ghost speaks like an ordinary human, though nobody believes it's actually a person. It seems to genuinely believe it is human, even going so far as to ask people to exchange names. "Hello, my name is Seo Geo," the ghost says. The name echoes with a strange, heavy gravity. Even when staff are trembling and unable to look at it, the ghost keeps the polite conversation going. The conversations are perfectly, unsettlingly normal. It never pries for personal information, and if someone is reluctant, it just backs off. After finishing a chat, the ghost leaves them with a parting gift. A small, mysterious item rests in the palm of a hand. The air splits with a sharp, electric crack. A sudden, violent movement shatters the silence. He stares at the gift, completely stunned by what he sees. What kind of domestic, helpful little monster is this? They analyzed the components, and to their shock, the gift was perfectly crafted. They wonder why the guild leader had prisoners on hand to test it so quickly. Was it poison? A trap? On the contrary, it was high-grade medicine. A realization hits like a lightning bolt, freezing him in his tracks. That cold sweat says it all. Something just went wrong. The gifts were customized. Anemia medicine, painkillers, and digestive aids, perfectly matching the ailments of the recipients. The research team is baffled as to how ordinary items possess such potent medicinal properties. The more he hears, the more this monster sounds like a major headache. Not only can it sense the condition of living beings, it can create items that directly affect them with pinpoint accuracy. It bypassed the guild security to get itself displayed, proving it is also a master of concealment. This is undeniably a high-ranking monster. It shows goodwill toward humans, which is a massive tactical problem. They can't subdue it, and they can't win it over. The light of the forest abruptly cuts off, revealing a dark, ominous dungeon gate waiting to be breached. What kind of terrors lie hidden inside? The history of dungeon discoveries is terrifying. 11 years ago, delegations were sent to establish diplomatic contact. They attempted to communicate with a civilization from another dimension. Every single one of those delegates returned as a horrific, mutated malformation. To that alien civilization, the human body was deemed inefficient, so they improved the bodies of the delegates. The conclusion was clear. A monster is a monster. From that day on, everything from a dungeon was classified as an enemy. This ghost is going to be one tricky raid. He decides to take it on himself. This is his specialty, after all. They thank him, but he insists that handling these incidents is simply his duty. There is one final thing he needs to know before he goes in. The atmosphere turns heavy as the truth is revealed. It all started when the guild leader placed Geo's portrait on display in the basement. The heavy doors begin to close, locking them in. The order is given. Mr. Yu Seong-gun is to take charge of the new exhibit. They call out to him. Another new piece has arrived. Management is dead set on assigning him to this new project. He has been officially tasked with overseeing the new exhibit. The piece is titled Geo's Portrait. Poor guy, he really doesn't get paid enough for this. Does he? The sliding doors part to reveal a face frozen in absolute shock. Whatever he just witnessed has completely shattered his composure. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. The world shatters as a devastating wave of raw energy tears through reality. Absolute destruction is unleashed in a single, earth-shattering strike. The situation has escalated far beyond a simple job description. This isn't just a minor task anymore. The difficulty level just hit the ceiling. He realizes this is way beyond his typical workload. Overtime is officially guaranteed, and he is definitely not getting paid enough for this. The system is glitching, and the countdown to chaos has begun. Hit refresh, the real nightmare starts now. Curator Yu Seong-gun initiates the desperate search for the mysterious portrait of Geo. Suddenly, it appears right before his eyes. It only emerges at dawn when the staff is sparse, suggesting a very specific routine. Is it a sentient entity watching him from the shadows? Perhaps there are strict conditions or hidden rules governing when it can manifest. Is it timid or cunning? Given its humanoid nature, the latter seems far more likely. The cycle is irregular, so getting a chance to observe it this early is pure beginner's luck. He activates his environmental sound adjustment skill to the max. They called it soundless. But he's here to put that to the test. He holds his breath, waiting for the slightest movement. Contrary to the rumors, it does make a sound. A faint, rhythmic brushing like grass against a blade. That delicate noise is hardly what you'd expect from a 188 centimeters giant. He narrows his eyes, questioning everything he's seeing. Is that thing actually admiring the artwork? Whether it's an art critic or just killing time, its motives remain a total mystery. Maybe it's hunting for a specific item to use for its own ends. A chilling silence falls as he stands cloaked in darkness. The storm is brewing just beneath his cold, unreadable gaze. The air feels heavy, almost as if the shadows themselves are watching back. Caught in the act, he freezes as the tension reaches a breaking point. One wrong move could spell his doom. A chilling gaze pierces through the darkness, radiating pure, lethal intent. The pressure is suffocating. A spectral silhouette emerges from the shadows, eyes locked in a chilling, intense gaze. The hunt begins now. The darkness is so deep it feels like looking into an abyss. Something truly enormous is lurking in that void. It inspires a sense of dread for no reason at all. Talk about an unwanted guest. A terrifying darkness swirls into existence, signaling an unstoppable, malevolent force. The void awakens, and there is nowhere left to hide. Something definitely exists in that space, just watching, waiting, and ready to pounce. A mysterious figure looms in the shadows, catching our protagonist off guard in the dead of night. Tension spikes as the intruder makes their presence known. The confrontation is inevitable now. With a briefcase in hand, he bolts into action, leaving the ground behind in a desperate, high-speed getaway. Talk about a cardio workout he didn't sign up for. A sudden, violent impact shatters the silence. The mysterious figure is sent reeling as the room erupts in chaos. A haunting portrait captures his weary soul, trapped forever in a silent, gilded frame. The weight of his sorrow is etched into every brushstroke. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. This whole experience is enough to drive anyone completely insane. He wonders if he provoked the entity for nothing. Day 1 of the portrait exploration is finally in the books. That was a close call. His heart is still pounding out of his chest. Why on earth was that person hiding in such a strange place? No, wait, was the entity actually afraid of him? Every staff member who saw him ran away without looking back, and he's starting to see why. In that case, did he accidentally look like the one doing the chasing? He needs to keep up the harmless portrait act. Misunderstandings like this could get him killed. A bizarre, three-eyed rabbit hops into view. What kind of strange creature has just crossed his path? He's certain the entity will return. It's only a matter of time. With a lightning-fast flick of the wrist, they unleash a lethal projectile. The target won't even see it coming. A sharp gasp echoes through the hall. He finds himself wishing for a pet, something he could actually squish and pamper for once. The solitude of the gallery is starting to get to him. The blank canvas suddenly ignites with a mysterious, blinding glow. Something extraordinary is about to manifest. The second day of exploration begins with a surge of anticipation. Frozen in time, this enigmatic figure stares from the frame with a gaze that cuts straight to the soul. What dark secrets is he hiding behind that melancholic expression? He speaks and the air goes cold. The encounter is officially underway. He thought the entity would hide after yesterday's scare, but it seems he was wrong. The real work begins now. That encounter yesterday was just a preview. It's clear now that this portrait is no ordinary monster. From here on out, he has to decode the rules of this portrait to survive. A single, gilded frame floats in the suffocating void, trapping a chilling memory within its borders. Darkness consumes everything, leaving only this haunting glimpse of the past. He needs to figure out exactly what this thing is and if it can coexist with humanity. Standing here, staring into those eyes, he feels the strength draining from his very bones. Monsters from the Great Catastrophe often require a story to be rated, and this is no different. Coexistence is the goal, and study is the only way to achieve it. The portrait speaks up, asking if he'd like to have a conversation. He decides to play along. It's better to talk than to fight. In this twisted world, talking is often a legitimate survival strategy. He tries to maintain a sense of safety, even if it's all a facade. Wait, is the entity actually acting like a decent person? Gio seems strangely moved by the interaction. Despite their rocky start, they are actually communicating. Even faced with a talking piece of art, he doesn't flinch. His nerves are made of steel. The entity apologizes for yesterday. It's surprisingly polite for a monster. In a world plagued by giant monsters, a chatty portrait is just another Tuesday, right? He thanks the portrait for its consideration, keeping his cool. The portrait asks for his name, and the tension spikes again. He knows the danger of giving a true name. Contracts bound by soul are no joke. A name is the foundation of any soul-binding contract. He worries that revealing his name might lead to a nasty surprise. But based on the portrait's behavior, he decides to take the risk. He introduces himself clearly. I am Yu Seong-gun. The portrait acknowledges him, noting the questions written all over his face. He dives in. Was it Gio who watched him yesterday? A chilling presence emerges from the shadows, eyes replaced by an all-consuming void. The atmosphere turns lethal as this mysterious figure reveals their terrifying true form. Gio admits it readily, catching him off guard. Why is the entity being so open about this? Gio confirms he can step out of the frame at will. The realization hits him hard. This thing is more mobile than he thought. The portrait notices his shock and points it out. He tries to mask his surprise, but it's not working. He didn't expect such transparency from a non-human entity. Gio explains he saw no reason to hide, simply because he was asked. He wonders what would happen if he had malicious intent. Gio claims that would be a lie. The entity seems to have a strange moral compass. Gio praises him for his kindness, which is why he agreed to talk. He wonders how Gio judges others, good versus evil. Would Gio attack if he sensed someone was truly evil? The portrait offers him another chance to ask a question. He jumps at the opportunity. He asks about the ghost wandering the gallery. Is that Gio? The portrait hesitates, and the silence is deafening. Why the delay? Did he hit a nerve? It seems the entity doesn't appreciate being called a ghost. He quickly apologizes, trying to smooth things over. He realizes now why everyone else ran away. They were terrified of this ghostly presence. But Gio has more to say. The portrait declares that it has never actually died. He presses further. Was it a portrait from the very beginning? Gio explains his confusion. He just woke up as a painting and ended up here. The rare artworks on display were what first piqued his curiosity. He's starting to feel like he's interviewing a lonely tourist rather than a monster. The way Gio talks about humans is just like any other monster, detached and analytical. But he is undeniably polite about it. Gio seems to have a soft spot for manners. It seems Gio prefers the staff to the bright red guild leader, by Sabiel. A wave of crushing exhaustion washes over him, his gaze heavy with the weight of 1,000 unspoken burdens. He stands on the brink, masking a soul-deep fatigue behind those hollow, captivating eyes. Gio is remarkably talkative today. The conversation is flowing, but it's hard to keep up. He realizes he's struggling to find the right responses. Oh boy, he definitely got on the guild leader's bad side. That explains why the guild leader gave him so little info. Gio clearly found him rude and shut him out. He apologizes on behalf of his boss, trying to salvage the situation. Gio accepts the apology, showing he isn't entirely heartless. Even after judging an S-class hunter, Gio remains perfectly calm and relaxed. He is starting to wonder what kind of creature this really is. A sinister mark burns into his flesh, marking the awakening of a terrifying new power. The darkness has finally claimed its vessel. Gio asks if he has any more questions. He asks about the eyes. Can Gio see even when the portrait is closed? He wonders if Gio has been watching them all along from inside the frame. Gio explains it's like watching the world through a window on a bus. Simple, passive observation. The portrait only opens when he truly wills it, a fact he confirmed with a mirror shard in a burnt-out school. Otherwise, he's kept his eyes shut, watching safely from within. Being trapped in a frame has its limitations. He has no choice but to watch. To him, moving paintings are just fascinating. He nods, finally beginning to understand. So, the paintings aren't Gio, they are the people he watches outside. Gio remarks that his blunt way of speaking is quite surprising. He clarifies that he was just trying to be polite. A cold, piercing gaze locks onto the mirror, revealing a man burdened by dark secrets. The reflection speaks louder than words as he prepares for his next move. If one is human, shouldn't one observe proper manners? A chilling, serene smile masks the deadly intent hidden beneath those silver locks. Don't let that gentle expression fool you. It's the calm before the storm. The investigation into Joe's portrait enters its second day, and surprisingly, the vibes are actually pleasant. Who knew interrogating a painting could be a relaxing afternoon activity? Time flies when you're busy dissecting the lore of a potential world ender. The guild leader receives a stern warning. That painting is a ticking time bomb, and he needs to stop playing with fire. The boss remains ice cold, casually sipping his tea while the tension in the room hits the ceiling. He's got the perfect poker face, and he's holding all the aces. Behind that charming smile lies a master manipulator plotting his next strike. Don't let the tea fool you. This man is absolutely lethal. The banter ends and the work begins. It's time to get serious about this portrait. Unlike the mindless monsters that drown everyone in fake, sugary kindness, this entity is something far more complex and dangerous. The most unsettling part? The portrait genuinely thinks it's human. Either it's completely delusional or it's the best liar in history. It's impossible to tell if it's truly self-aware or just method acting, but remember, the things that seem the most harmless usually have the sharpest teeth. If this situation goes south, it's going to be a total disaster. The portrait has its own moral compass, and heaven help anyone who ends up on its naughty list. When asked if he's considered sending it to the Hunter Association, the boss just shoots back a smug, "Have I now?" The orders are set. Get close to Gio, build a bond, and keep the boss in the loop at all times. He's terrified of being left out of the action, so he tasks his subordinate with finding out exactly what makes Gio tick. It's a weirdly personal request, but for a loyal employee, it's just another Tuesday. Guild leader by Sabiel doesn't just hire people. He handpicks and trains them with obsessive, terrifying precision. Even the lowest-ranked grunt is vetted to perfection. This guy doesn't do mediocre. The portrait's presence is heavy enough to rattle the strongest wills. This thing possesses a truly extraordinary soul. The report confirms it. Trying to figure out this entity in just 2 days is a fool's errand. Sabiel is a man of deep mystery, and he's clearly cooking up something massive. He dismisses his subordinate, leaving everyone wondering, is he trying to save the world? Or is this just a really, really weird hobby? Day 3 of the investigation kicks off, and the plot is officially thickening. The investigator drops the big question, "Are you not lonely?" The response is instant and ice cold. "I am not." He quickly follows up with an apology for prying into the portrait's personal feelings. With only employees for company, the investigator assumes the portrait steps out just to cure the boredom. The portrait prefers a room without people. Talk about an introvert's dream. The investigator keeps digging, trying to see if there's any discomfort hidden beneath that paint. He's tired of the noise. He's spent his whole life listening to chatter and just wants some peace and quiet. Silence is a luxury he's finally managed to claim for himself. No strings, no drama, and definitely no pointless small talk. For someone who just wants to be left alone, a portrait is basically the perfect sanctuary. The investigator finally pulls the trigger. "Were you once human?" "I am still human," he replies with a conviction that's actually super awkward to hear. The investigator tries to clarify. "I meant, Were you once an ordinary person in the real world? The answer is a short, bone-chilling yes. It's time for a lore drop. Humanoid monsters fall into two very different categories. The investigator leans in, absorbing every word like his life depends on it. Some monsters are born as monsters from the very start. They evolve slowly, mimicking the human form as they grow stronger. Others start out as regular humans, only to be dragged into the root and twisted into monsters. If he was once a human, why is he so obsessed with clinging to that identity? If that's the reality, things just got a whole lot weirder. Monsters carrying human memories are basically ticking time bombs of trauma and rage. A haunting portrait reveals a face etched with sorrow and hidden secrets. That cold, distant gaze speaks volumes of a tragic past waiting to be ripped open. The room doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like a funeral waiting to happen. It's as if the painting is actively mourning a death that hasn't finished yet. Do you not get bored? Even sometimes. Usually, I have a meal. Wait, hold on, a painting eats? He genuinely enjoys the act of dining. A haunting portrait captures his sorrowful gaze, locking a dark secret behind the gilded frame. Who is this guy, and what legacy is he leaving behind? Can a painting actually eat? My brain is officially buffering. He doesn't look like a foodie, and the investigator is praying he doesn't mean human ingredients. The investigator gathers his courage. How exactly do you have your meals? He decides what he wants and he makes it reality. He gathers the ingredients and prepares the feast himself. A feast fit for a hero appears, glistening with high-quality ingredients. It's a culinary masterpiece that's making the audience hungry. He uses proper tools to cook and finishes the dish to absolute perfection. He takes a moment to reflect on what he had yesterday. He insists he's just an ordinary human, which is a wild thing to say while trapped inside a canvas. The investigator realizes that the more this guy talks, the less human he actually sounds. I see, he says, desperately trying to mask his confusion. The portrait lays down the law. He can manifest things and interact with the real world through the frame. The investigator feels the exact same way. Dazed, confused, and totally hooked. He's been dying to know exactly what's possible inside this frame. The canvas stands ready, awaiting the stroke of brilliance that will change everything. The tools are poised for a masterpiece to unfold. The timing is perfect for a little experiment. He asks the portrait to help him test the limits of its power. There are certain luxuries that only exist because he's stuck in this painting. How does that work? He asks, needing a bit of guidance. The portrait smiles, suggesting the investigator could bring him some joy as well. What kind of joy? The investigator is definitely on high alert now. The request is simple. Please draw an apple on this portrait. Right on the painting itself. It's not a hard request, but it's definitely a weird one. Tension spikes as a mysterious hand reaches for the case. Everything hinges on what's hidden inside. Touching a priceless work of art is nerve-wracking, but he's got a job to do. With a brush in hand and nerves of steel, he locks onto his target. The masterpiece begins now. The portrait notes that he carries art supplies everywhere. He explains he has to be prepared for anything in this gallery. Safety first when you're dealing with magical entities. This exact moment is proof that he was right to come prepared. What would have happened if he didn't have his tools? Disaster, probably. Accursed crimson or pulses with forbidden power. The seal is broken, and a dark destiny begins to unfold. It's not the best apple ever painted, but it'll do. Talk about an awkward office moment. Polite thank you follows the drawing. A sudden, chilling grip seizes the forbidden fruit. The trap is set, and there's no turning back now. The investigator is absolutely stunned. A single, crisp bite shatters the silence. Our mysterious lead indulges in a snack with chilling intensity. He actually ate it. He just consumed the apple the investigator drew. The atmosphere crackles with heart-stopping intensity. A powerful neon surge erupts to signal that everything is about to change. The investigator is completely speechless. He's never seen anything like this in his entire career. The portrait claims it's delicious, ripe, and fragrant. It was just cheap paint. How does a painting have a scent or taste? He keeps insisting he's just an ordinary human living in a frame. He claims that if he can do this, he can accomplish great things outside, too. When he's too lazy to cook, he just paints a meal and eats it. The logic is completely broken, but who's going to argue with him? Ordinary humans definitely can't do that. Is it really that strange? The portrait is genuinely confused. He decides to repay the investigator for the apple. Repay me? The investigator is nervous about what's coming next. Yu Seong-gun is almost too kind. He just goes along with whatever this painting asks. A sudden gust of wind sweeps through the trees, scattering golden light in its wake. The atmosphere shifts in an instant. The portrait reveals he experimented with painting gems after he first woke up. He turned the gems into paint and tried using them on the canvas. The paintings felt like they were alive. He could create even warm corpses. Nothing seemed impossible until he tried connecting it to reality. A single, brutal stroke of red paint erases the face from history. The portrait is being defaced, and the mystery deepens with every smear. As expected, there are rules to this reality-bending power. A token of gratitude appears with a terrifying time limit: 6 days. The counter keeps ticking down. A mysterious, blinding gem awakens with a pulse of raw power. The ancient relic begins to shift, signaling the start of a legendary discovery. The power of the painting is on full display. Here's a token of my gratitude, the portrait says. It's an unknown gem with a complex structure. He created it just by drawing it? The investigator is baffled by the gem's nature. He doesn't know what it is, but it clearly came from deep underground. It holds the heat of the planet's core, taken after his friend. Of that, he is absolutely certain. One thing is for sure: this portrait is not a monster. Day 3 of the exploration is finally in the books. The root, he wonders aloud. The results of the observation are mounting up. The root is the key to everything. It's a transcendent being that manages dimensions and creates the fundamental rules of existence. It's the system, the god of gods, the end-all be-all. The dungeons that hit Earth 30 years ago, they're just stories of new dimensions born from the vein of the root. Monsters arose from these dungeons in the same way. This is the secret knowledge of the gardeners. Monsters come from dungeons, but the root's children come directly from the root. Geo is something entirely different. He doesn't fit into either category. The mystery is only getting deeper. Sunlight dances through the canopy, masking the stillness of a world on the brink of change. The tranquil forest holds its breath, hiding secrets beneath its leafy veil. A mysterious droplet of liquid splashes onto the fabric, shimmering with an unmistakable magical aura. Something extraordinary is about to begin. Day 6 of the exploration is officially underway. The stoic agent freezes, his composure shattered by a shocking revelation. Every nerve is on edge as he stares down the impossible. They are my new family, the portrait announces. He's been busy creating a whole bunch of them. Ethereal, glowing spirits take flight, filling the air with a shimmering, magical aura. The forest awakens as these mystical birds burst forth in a brilliant dance of light. They're flying everywhere inside the portrait. Did he draw all of them? 100 of them. They're chatterboxes, and thank goodness they don't have vocal cords. They gather to form a pond. Each bird has a unique taste and likes decorating itself with different objects. If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Do these birds have souls? He's not entirely sure. The silver-haired stranger comes face to face with a haunting portrait of the past. A chilling secret is unearthed as he stares into the eyes of the man in the frame. The root's children have no ego, so they can't hold a conversation, which makes Geo even more of an enigma. He glares at Joe, remarking that while the man looks like a masterpiece, his influence on reality is far too real to be ignored. He scoffs, pointing out that Joe is no god, yet he wields the terrifying power to rewrite history with a flick of his brush. The color drains from his face as a chilling realization hits him like a freight train. He stands frozen, eyes wide with pure, unfiltered shock. A haunting portrait captures his weary soul in time. The heavy weight of his secrets hangs in the air, thick enough to choke on. He recoils, insisting that manipulating reality is a dark, twisted path he absolutely refuses to walk. He shudders at the thought. Creating life from nothingness is just plain creepy, and he wants no part of it. He humbles himself, claiming that creating humans is divine work, and he's just a regular guy, not some mystical entity. A spectral silhouette emerges from the shadows, bathed in an eerie, otherworldly glow. The past refuses to stay buried, and this ghost is here to stir up trouble. He begs his companion to stop putting him on a pedestal. He'd much rather just be seen as an ordinary dude. The scene shifts, but the heavy weight of their conversation lingers like a bad smell. The silence is deafening as the camera pans to a cold, industrial ceiling. Tension is building, something big is about to go down. He asks the million-dollar question. Is he really going to hide his work from the association? He stands his ground, stating that for now, his only priority is the story hidden inside that portrait. The business of art must go on, even if they're all teetering on the edge of existential dread. An argument breaks out. If this entity's effect on humanity is unknown, they need the association to step in for everyone's safety. A twisted, sinister grin spreads across his face as he prepares to unleash chaos. That trap is about to snap shut, and it's going to be glorious. He demands to know if his employee has forgotten the primary mission he was hired for. He clarifies his vision. He doesn't want cold, functional weapons. He wants breathtaking art that blows people's minds. This is exactly why he poured his blood, sweat, and tears into founding this guild and company. He admits he has zero pride as a hunter, but as an artist, he's the top of the food chain. He scoffs, noting that no collector buys high-end art expecting it to ward off evil spirits or help them sleep at night. He maintains his simple curiosity, driven solely by the story buried deep within the canvas. His goal is pure. He wants to preserve those stories with his own two hands, and nothing more. The silence is deafening as he sits in wait, a master of calculated stillness. Behind that stoic mask, a massive storm is brewing. A cold, piercing gaze locks onto the target. The tension is absolutely suffocating. Someone is about to get wrecked. A predator's gaze locks onto its target with chilling intensity. There is no escaping those lethal, golden eyes. He asks if the situation is clear yet. The wheels are in motion, and there's no turning back now. A solitary portrait looms in the dark, a chilling legacy of a man left behind. The silence of the hall screams with the weight of a forgotten truth. He insists that while this force is basically a walking natural disaster, it's surprisingly communicative and doesn't seem to have a mean bone in its body. With a flick of the fingers, raw ingredients transform into pure gold. The alchemy begins as the dough is shaped into priceless treasures. With lethal precision, he crafts enchanted treasures with his bare hands. The master alchemist is at work, and the results are about to change everything. He warns that they cannot afford to let this miracle slip away, no matter what it actually is. The realization hits hard. Was this the real reason he bought Joe in the first place? Since Joe was revealed at an auction, the world is inevitably going to find out about him sooner or later. He questions if this was all just a preemptive strike to avoid a total disaster later on. He smiles cryptically, remarking that he sees a whole lot more than people give him credit for. He concludes that if Joe thinks he's human, then the most logical move is to treat him like one. A golden secret slips away as he watches in stunned silence. Everything is about to change in a heartbeat. A brilliant golden spark descends from the heavens, radiating pure, mystical energy. This adorable little light is about to turn the world upside down. He rants that a mere gardener shouldn't be so narrow-minded. It's time to start thinking big and quit the small talk. He defends Joe, calling him a genuinely kind and good-natured soul. While Joe hates being inconvenienced, he doesn't hold a grudge, which is rare for someone of his stature. He muses that if someone doesn't resent what makes them uncomfortable, they must be remarkably kind. He notes that Joe acts with courtesy and respect, mercifully refusing to force his own weird rules upon others. He scoffs at the idea of Joe feeling fear. To him, a human is basically just an ant beneath his boot. He challenges the accusation, noting that they haven't even had a decent conversation with Joe yet. He lectures that a real guild leader needs to grasp the essence of a person just by looking them in the eye. He warns against prying into Joe's mind, urging them instead to just try being a good conversational partner for once. He adds a final piece of advice. Take him outside once in a while to see the sun. The city sleeps in silence, but a storm is brewing inside this towering fortress. A massive confrontation is about to unfold beneath the glass facade. His companion is left speechless, wondering if he's actually lost his mind with this plan. He laments all the trouble he went through, fussing over Joe like a stressed-out museum curator. Despite his reservations, he decides to put his faith in the guild leader. He affirms that he trusts the man's keen eye for talent above everything else. It is those unique eyes, seeing what remains hidden to ordinary humans, that truly make him a leader. A sinister predator looms in the shadows, his calm facade hiding a deadly, calculating hunger. He commands that the absolute best service must be provided to Joe, only the finest for their guest. Under the cover of night, a mysterious figure stalks toward his target with a heavy case in hand. The city sleeps, but the real hunt is just beginning. He breathes a sigh of relief, happy to have kept Joe out of the hands of the association. In his eyes, the research conducted by the association is nothing but systematic abuse. He recalls that Yu Seong-gun was once just a simple gardener. The garden chooses its caretaker, binding them to its will forever. He explains that gardeners pour their hearts into their work, as their management directly dictates the difficulty of the dungeons they oversee. They have no choice but to feel a deep, burning curiosity and affection for the entities that form the foundation of their world. Caught in the biting winter chill, he stands frozen by an unexpected encounter. His gaze turns sharp as the tension in the air reaches a breaking point. He contemplates the rarity of the stall, noting that places selling bungeopang are getting harder to find these days. It's a simple observation, but he notes that Joe truly seems to enjoy eating. Total shock hits as the realization settles in. Their world is crumbling right before their eyes. The mysterious figure emerges from the shadows, his faceless gaze striking terror into the night. A cold chill fills the air as he stands ready to strike. He reasons that if Joe genuinely believes himself to be human, then his respect for others is a trait born from that sweet misconception. He resolves to help Joe maintain that innocent belief for as long as possible. He politely asks for his age, finally breaking the ice. He answers truthfully he is 29. The other reveals he is 33. He is caught off guard, admitting he expected someone much older. He awkwardly apologizes, noting he's often told he looks old for his age, so the reaction is a bit stingy. He explains that because Joe is recognized by the Unstoppable One, he didn't expect him to be so young. He wonders if being 29 is just another one of Joe's many bizarre misconceptions. He confirms he is 33, noting that Joe looks remarkably young for his actual age. With a sharp intake of breath, they strike with lightning speed. The tension is palpable as the clash begins. He finds it fascinating to hear an entity of such power comment on his youth. He gives him the green light to drop the formalities since he is the elder of the two. He happily accepts, noting that he never asked for formal speech in the first place. He decides to switch to casual speech, offering a gift and asking when would be the best time to head out. The log entry updates. Geo's Portrait Exploration Day 17. He explains that a garden is essentially a limb or organ of a root entity, be it eyes, blood vessels, or a heart. He finds these stories captivating, and he finds Joe just as intriguing. He warns that being a gardener is a deadly, stressful job that offers zero time for relaxation. He wonders aloud if being a gardener is a role one is forced to play, whether they like it or not. He admits it's not a choice. Even as a curator, he cannot escape his status as a gardener. He hands over the seeds he requested, expressing his sincere gratitude. A small hand pokes out, a rare and precious sight indeed. He admits it's a small thing, but the effort is worth every second. He describes his visions: a towering, snow-covered mountain and a vast, endless glacier. The sheer grandeur of the image is enough to captivate anyone who sees it. A haunting gaze lingers as he turns away, his expression masked by the shadows of a painful past. The weight of his hidden secrets hangs heavy in the air. Ethereal spirits flutter through the air, casting a magical glow over the hidden cottage. The tranquil forest pulses with mysterious, shimmering life. He agrees, feeling the exact same way about their situation. He confirms the mutual sentiment with a nod. Cold, piercing eyes lock onto the target with lethal intent. There's nowhere left to hide now. He extends an invitation. Would he like to go outside and see the world? He offers to act as a guide and show him the world beyond these walls. Bathed in the ethereal glow of the forest, he cradles a mysterious, flickering flame. A haunting solemnity hangs in the air as he guards this fragile light. He asks for clarification. Is this just for sightseeing? He muses that making a travel proposal to a root entity is quite the experience. He acknowledges that they don't know how Joe's presence will affect reality, but they have to be prepared. He concludes that since they can't stop the inevitable, they might as well learn about it beforehand. He remarks that Joe seems ignorant of the outside world, but promises to guide him in person. He wonders if the time has truly come to return to society, silently agreeing with Yu Seong-gun. A piercing gaze cuts through the tension. The mystery deepens as their eyes lock onto the truth. He asks for the best time to make the journey. A simple sound, as the plans start to take shape. He voices his concern. The people outside seem genuinely afraid of him. He figures that when he manifests, a gap forms in human perception, making him appear strange or frightening. He notes that even though the employees spoke to him, they treated him like an unknown, as if there were a total disconnect in reality. He admits it was bewildering, but not entirely unpleasant, so he tells them not to worry about it. He is determined to bridge that gap and resolve the disconnect during their outing. He records another success, remembering his grandmother's old advice. Those who do not work shall not eat. With a radiant smile and dual thumbs up, our hero signals total victory. Nothing can stand in their way now. He reassures him that being cute is enough of a contribution. He's worrying over nothing. He finds it absurd that his companion evolved to speak, but decides to give it a name since it's unique and warm. He asks if the name is to its liking, and it seems satisfied. Everything is moving forward one step at a time. A heavy shadow of melancholy washes over him as he gazes into the void. Beneath that stoic expression lies a heart burdened by a secret truth. He laughs at his own awkwardness, realizing his words don't always come out right. He praises his companion, calling it a sweet color. He is genuinely moved by his companion's lack of hatred, calling him truly merciful. He decides to finish his landscapes and enjoy the sweet, deep sleep that follows a hard day's work. The artist prepares to rest, his work finally catching up to him. In the quiet solitude of his studio, the artist loses himself in the rhythmic strokes of his masterpiece. Every motion brings the crashing waves to life in a flurry of creative intensity. With a single, masterful stroke, reality bends to his will. The raging ocean is being rewritten right before our eyes. The system begins its work, searching for the corresponding dimension. A chilling shadow emerges from the flames to hunt its prey. Darkness descends as the predator prepares to strike. The corresponding dimension has been successfully located. Pure magic erupts from the canvas, blurring the line between art and reality. A blinding surge of power transforms the simple painting into a gateway of wonder. A moment of rare stillness for our hero as he drifts into deep, restless slumber. But how long can he truly escape the shadows closing in? If you're enjoying this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Heavy exhaustion pulls at his gaze as he drifts into a restless slumber. The weight of his burden is finally taking its toll. A notification pings, demanding his immediate attention. He wakes up confused, wondering why this is the first thing greeting his tired eyes. Breathing sea, he reads, trying to make sense of the notification. He questions the strange titles: Breathing Sea, Animal Kingdom, City of Emptiness. He realizes the system has officially named the landscapes he finished yesterday. The system confirms the discovery of dimensions, with synchronization and entry now possible. A mysterious, glowing spirit manifests, clutching precious gems in its translucent grasp. This adorable creature has arrived to shake things up. He shrugs it off. It's fun, so it must be fine. A legendary treasure is finally revealed, glowing with raw, untamed power. The game has changed forever. He is left with one burning question. What exactly do adapter and synchronization mean in this bizarre new reality? The protagonist demands answers about the adapter label, questioning if his captor has any morality left in his cold, dead heart. The system buzzes with clinical indifference, classifying the adapter as nothing more than a glorified key for dimension hopping. Red text pulses on the screen, locking onto Geo as the prime target for this insane experiment. It's a reality-bending nightmare. By hijacking a soul and vessel, one can hop between worlds like a tourist. He starts spiraling through potential candidates, wondering if just any Geo, Giovanni, Argio, or whoever is enough to make the cut. He narrows his eyes, deep in thought, plotting his next move like he's playing 4D chess in his head. He shakes his head, realizing that if this role were easy, they wouldn't be hunting for someone so specific. Clearly, there's a massive catch. The puzzle pieces fall into place. It's all about the sync rate, and he grins, knowing his life is about to become a total dumpster fire of chaos. A massive error screen flickers as the target dimension refuses to load. Talk about a bad connection. With a system prompt asking to register a dimension that doesn't exist, he realizes he's essentially been promoted to reality architect. He psychs himself up, feeling the epic soundtrack of his life kick in as he prepares to invade the animal kingdom. He waxes poetic about life being a hurricane, fully embracing the madness. Honestly, this guy's ego is bigger than the dimension he's creating. A new notification pings, warning of a resolution error that threatens to brick his entire progress. He just laughs at the system's failure, convinced that his sheer momentum is enough to carry him through. The system demands he use Geo to stabilize the glitching reality, like using a band-aid on a gaping wound. He finds the irony absolutely hilarious, ready to see what kind of disaster Giovanni is about to cause. A surge of raw energy hits him as he wakes up on the cold lab table. The room is practically vibrating with danger. He immediately starts complaining about the service, realizing his sidekick Honey has ghosted him. He's dropped right into the breathing sea, a surreal psychic manifestation of Giovanni's broken mind. The scenery shifts violently, dropping him into the creepy, sterile hallways of a long-abandoned hospital. The silence is broken by an ethereal figure stepping out of the shadows. The atmosphere is so tense you could snap a twig in it. He gasps in total shock, his eyes widening at the sight of the mysterious intruder. A voice rings out, greeting him with a look so familiar it's like he's staring into a mirror. The laws of physics seem to give up as the two figures lock eyes in the center of the void. The stranger bows with a terrifying, graceful flair before finally revealing who he is. The stranger identifies himself as Giovanni of the Batlon family, and the room feels like it's about to explode from the pressure.